WNBA Finals, and so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously been a tough week.
The Women's National Basketball Association is facing what could be the biggest obstacle in its 27-year existence. The league now faces an existential challenge that few anticipated following years of steady expansion that culminated in a historic 2024 season marked by record attendance, unparalleled media attention, and lucrative new television deals. The WNBA's most significant commodity, its star players, are now directly threatened by a well-funded international basketball league supported by almost limitless resources from the Middle East. What started off as industry rumors quickly developed into a major crisis, with reports suggesting that some well-known players are seriously taking into account offers that are far greater than those found in American professional women's basketball. This is not just another instance of WNBA players using international contracts to augment their income over the offseason, an approach that has been commonplace for many years. This is a much more dangerous and fundamentally distinct issue. A well-funded rival league created especially to steal the biggest names in the game and position itself as the top location for top women's basketball players. The amount of money being used is similar to what Saudi Arabia's state investment fund contributed to professional golf through Live Golf, which successfully enticed many PGA Tour stars with guaranteed contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, is now being applied to women's basketball, and the WNBA appears woefully unprepared to counter it. To understand the seriousness of this situation, one must first understand the enormous salary disparity between WNBA salaries and what this new international competitor is allegedly offering. Under the current WNBA collective bargaining agreement, which runs through 2027, the minimum salary for rookies is approximately $76,000 a year. Even if these figures are an improvement over prior years, they are completely dwarfed by the figures currently being discussed in relation to this new offshore league and pale in contrast to what sportsmen in major men's sports make. According to reports coming from a variety of sources, this global project, which insiders have dubbed Project B because of the secrecy surrounding its formal launch, is willing to pay role players a starting salary of almost $2 million. Athletes in the WNBA who might make between $80,000 and $150,000. By today's WNBA standards, the numbers for elite players are nearly unfathomable. Mid-tier players may get between $5 and $10 million a year, but the league's biggest draws are allegedly offered guarantees of more than $100 million over a number of years. Agreements. According to some of the more aggressive speculations, the league's biggest acquisition might fetch up to $200 million. These are not merely small pay raises. They signify a total overhaul of the women's professional basketball industry's financial environment. To reach the same gross earnings as a single season at the $2 million baseline in this proposed league, a player making $100,000 in the WNBA would have to play for 20 years. There is no denying the hard reality of mathematics. This degree of financial inequality cannot be readily overcome by any amount of passion, patriotism, or dedication to expanding the sport locally. Regardless of other factors, professional sportsmen are known for having brief careers, and the chance to guarantee generational wealth in a single contract is extremely tough to decline. The fact that many WNBA players already play abroad during their off-seasons because their WNBA earnings are insufficient to ensure long-term financial security makes the issue much more difficult. In contrast to their NBA colleagues, who may earn millions of dollars a year and become financially independent in a few seasons, WNBA players have traditionally had to labor year-round, participating in difficult foreign leagues during what should be their off-season just to make a decent life. This recent development prompts them to think about making that international commitment their main priority rather than an additional source of revenue. A turning point was reportedly reached when Sophie Cunningham decided to take advantage of a chance with this new international league. One of the most well-known and marketable players in the WNBA is Cunningham, a guard for the Phoenix Mercury. Her captivating personality, robust social media presence, and sincere connection with fans are the main reasons, not just her on-court prowess. She is a perfect example of the kind of player the WNBA needs to hold on to during this phase of expansion. Someone who can draw in and hold the attention of an audience beyond the most devoted basketball fans. According to reports, Cunningham has secured a contract worth several million dollars annually, which would exceed her cumulative career earnings from her 6 seasons in the WNBA. The significance of her departure cannot be overstated. If a player of her caliber and marketability is willing to leave the league at what should be the prime of her career, it sends an unmistakable message to every other WNBA athlete. The economics of staying loyal to the American League when significantly better options exist elsewhere. Cunningham's situation also highlights a larger problem with the WNBA's compensation framework, an MVP contender, or first-team selection. She is valuable, talented, and well-liked despite this. To put it another way, she is an example of WNBA talent from the upper middle class. This international league appears to have enough resources to pursue almost anyone in the league if it can successfully recruit players at a level with multi-million-dollar contracts. It's an obvious message. This isn't a deliberate attempt to sign a few high-profile names for exposure. This all-encompassing recruitment approach aims to create a league that is truly competitive by consistently providing top pay to every player on the team. Cunningham's exit might also have a domino effect. Professional athletes keep a careful eye on what their competitors are doing. Additionally, when they observe, when someone makes a move to obtain money that could change their life, it always makes them reevaluate their own circumstances. Other players who were happy with their WNBA wages when there were no other options will now wonder if they are losing out on a significant sum of money by continuing. The International League has a significant psychological advantage in this circumstance. Others will feel more at ease and even under pressure to follow suit once a few well-known players make the move. Losing Caitlin Clark would be disastrous if Sophie Cunningham's departure is a major issue for the WNBA. After completing her first campaign with the Indiana Fever, Clark is possibly the most important person in modern women's basketball. Television viewership during her final year at the University of Iowa was on par with, and occasionally higher than, NBA playoff games. She gave women's collegiate basketball previously unheard of mainstream attention. There was a comparable increase in interest at the professional level following her entry into the WNBA. When the Fever visited, attendance at both the Fever games and the rival arenas reached all-time highs. Clark's games established records for television ratings. Her presence in the league was viewed as a key component of the WNBA's capacity to build on its momentum and reach a wider audience. She is simply the athlete that casual sports fans came to watch. Now, in accordance with, according to numerous rumors from international sports media and basketball experts, this new Middle Eastern-backed league is offering Clark a contract that may be valued anywhere between $50 million and $200 million in guaranteed income. The fact that negotiations are ongoing and specifics are still up for debate is probably reflected in the wide range of reported estimates. However, in any practical situation, the WNBA would not be able to equal the amount of money represented by even the conservative end of that projection. Clark currently makes about $76,000 a year as a rookie in the WNBA. She would make about $250,000 annually even if she were to qualify for a maximum contract after a few seasons. In order to earn $50 million in WNBA salaries alone, 200 years of playing for the highest possible wage. The financial comparison is so unfair that it is nearly impossible to analyze rationally. Accepting such an offer would be among the easiest choices a professional athlete has ever had to make from an economic perspective. The difference between what she can make in the WNBA and what she allegedly being offered elsewhere isn't because one choice is marginally superior to the other. There is a difference between earning a comfortable but modest professional salary and accumulating generational wealth that could sustain her family for decades. Clark's predicament is further exacerbated by the fact that, should she depart, she would be leaving behind something significant. The chance to leave a lasting history as the athlete who revolutionized American women's professional basketball and the WNBA. Being a trailblazer and being recognized as the athlete that elevated a whole sport in your nation has real worth. What Michael Jordan was for men's basketball, Clark may be for women's basketball. Not only was he an exceptional athlete, but he was a transcendent character who altered the cultural significance of the sport. In terms of long-term endorsement potential, personal fulfillment, and historical significance, that type of legacy has its own kind of value. But asking a 22-year-old athlete, it is a huge request to give up possibly hundreds of millions of dollars for the sake of loyalty and legacy to a league that only pays her a small portion of her market value. It's the kind of decision that is very challenging for the individual making it, but it's easy for others to have ideas about. Clark's sense of obligation to the sport, her desire to motivate young American girls, and her ties to her own country may all be leveraged by the WNBA and its supporters. However, the very practical fact of financial security, not just for herself but for her entire extended family for generations, must be balanced against those intangible advantages.